Good morning to everybody, and thank you for connecting. Welcome to another Creative Zone webinar. We have an incredible panel of speakers in front of us. I'll make some small introductions before we get going, but we have Mr. Adel Mardini. He's the CEO of Jetex. He has an incredible story on how he started this business of private jet terminals around the world. You will tell us more, Adel, on where you are now and how you've been growing over the years, but I personally been to your terminal and it's like more than a 5-star hotel. So you'll be telling us more. Mohamed Al Banna, CEO of Lead Ventures, an entrepreneur himself, a businessman and a business owner. He's the CEO also of the office of Sheikh Sultan bin Abdullah Al Qasimi, the late Sheikh Sultan bin Abdullah Al Qasimi. Mohamed, we are keen to hear everything about what you've been up to. And Tariq Qureishy, the CEO of Xponential and MAD Group. Tariq is a renowned media personality as well in the UAE. He's a futurist. He likes to look into what's coming, and he appears on Dubai TV, I think, quite often these days to give his points of view. So gentlemen, again, thank you so much for being here with us. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us on this webinar.
Pleasure is ours.
So maybe to get started, Tariq, this webinar is called Reviving Our Economic Engines, the Road to Recovery. How can you sort of summarize where we are now and what's likely to come in the next few months as we continue to open up our economies?
Thank you, Lorenzo. Welcome to everybody. So the first thing I'd like to start with is to sort of wish everybody well, because it is a time of a pandemic. And it's a time when we need to be able to empathize and have compassion and connection. So from my heart to you, to everybody, I hope you're well, and I hope your families are doing well, because the pandemic is touching us. There are 4 pandemics going on at this moment. One pandemic is the pandemic of the virus invading our body. The second is about isolation and loneliness. The third is about fear, a fear of security, fear of the future. And these are different pandemics. But the fourth one is the one that's most dangerous and is hiding the most. And that is the pandemic of information, too much, disinformation, too much, misinformation, too much, and shame on the media and shame on all of the platforms and stuff like that, who are completely taking a pandemic and trying to make money out of it rather than actually doing a service. So we need to be able to be very, very conscious of this as we move forward. So to answer your question more practically, is that we are looking at 3 scenarios. And when I do that, I do a lot of work in scenario planning and so on. So the first is you have to put your oxygen mask on first. So the next 3-6 months or so, we have to have our oxygen mask in place. And that has a completely different set of strategies, which I know Mohamed and Adel will also talk about. The second scenario, which is the most likely scenario, is a 6 to 12 month scenario, which is where we are going to be. This is where you have to develop resilience, resourcefulness, because companies will die. We are in this forest and big trees will fall. These big companies will go down. 20–25% of the companies will go under because they just weren't healthy enough. But another 25% of the companies are going to come up, these little shoots that are going to come up. And as this thing happens, I just want to share one last thing, and that is, in these opening remarks, is the thing that's keeping us together. The invisible glue that we need for the future is the word trust. Trust is what's connecting us. Trust is what will get the jets flying and the airplanes working and the hotels working and so on. So trust at different level. And it's a very complex discussion. And if you want, I can go into it in greater depth. But this is what unites us. The second thing which the Dubai government is doing really well, and the whole region, UAE government is doing very well, is something called social capital and social goodwill. And in this pandemic, you know, things like networking, belonging, connect, all of these things are coming together, creating social goodwill, and it builds trust with each other. And the last thing is what I call collective intelligence and collective consciousness. There are over 150 million people in the world, epidemiologists, doctors, physicians, technologists, everybody is coming together. So we will beat this. This will get behind us. And after every single crisis, whether it was the Spanish flu in the 1990s, there were the roaring 20s. Whether it was the Black Death in the Middle Ages, we had the Renaissance. The Second World War, we had massive reconstruction. 2009, we came up with Facebook, with WhatsApp and Uber and Airbnb. Huge new things came up. So folks, this is a time, it's a blip in our lives. And this is the time to be strong and to have courage and heart and spirit and basically move forward with trust and compassion and empathy. So it's actually a big answer to a very specific question, but I thought it would be nice to set the tone as we go forward. Over to you, sir.
That's excellent, Tariq. Thank you so much for that. And I completely agree with your points. And especially from our side at Creative Zone, we've seen the community of business owners, entrepreneurs truly come together. We had a webinar with Donna Benton, was talking about a specific initiative where there was a hashtag of where we are promoting to buy local, to buy from the SME, to how we are helping each other. Recently, there's been a launch of a few new apps and portals where you are able to buy for the future, where you're paying now and you collect sort of your goods and services later on as a way of helping. Mohamed, I see you eager to try to say a few words in relation to this. Please, how have you been living sort of these few months and how you've been adapting?
Yeah, sure. See, talking about the pandemic, maybe because we have witnessed, I've witnessed the crisis, which is 2008. We all know what happened in 2008, the real estate market. And we are witnessing this pandemic, right? And I call it a coronavirus show. So I know that it's a show and it will be ending up soon. But if I want to compare the two crises, in my opinion, the previous one was a bit easy for us to adapt, to go back to normal life. Now, I don't say that we will be going back to normal life. A new norm has been created already. But the media is playing, as you said, Tariq, brother Tariq, is they are playing a big role to make people feel that this pandemic will last with us forever. And this is, you know, what will make us really feel sad. When I speak with business owners and they come and say, Mohamed, I'm really thinking to shut down the business, or I'm firing everyone, or I'm going back to my home country. Why? Because this is, we don't know what's going to happen. So it's better that I take my money and just, you know, just live in peace. And so this is, you know, talking about the pandemic, we have as being leaders and advisors to certain people, we have to show the world that forget about media. Don't listen to all medias, open every single day. How many people got sick today? How many people got died? Things will go, okay, these are facts. We'll not talk about the facts, but let's be positive and see the other way. And talking about the adapting, in my opinion, and this is something that we have done, you know, I remember, I'll just give you a little story. When the pandemic happened, we were all shocked, total lockdown. And I was, you know, I put everything on the table. So I put my business partners, I put the advisors, I put even, you know, like all the activities that we are doing, the team members, because, you know, like I wanted to know what's happening, right? And every single thing that I hear from the market is firing, shutdown, firing, shutdown. So I came up with something, you know, like it's a small initiative from my side. I said, all right, there is something which is, I am in a very fancy office. I'm a business partner in a very fancy office. So why don't we be aligned? Why don't we share offices? Why don't we share resources? Why can't we create something together? Why don't we remove all this ego and say, you know what, let's work together? Because we will have to survive. We have to be positive and we have to support each other. And believe me, it's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months. Last month, when it was a total lockdown, I was working from home, although that everything is remotely. But, you know, I never, you know, like I felt that this might be happening for 2, 3, 4 months that I will not go back to the office. But today I came to the office. So, you know, things will go back gradually, but we really have to step away from all this media and just keep focusing on what we want to achieve.
Yeah, good points, Mohamed. Now, Adel, you're part of a crucial industry in the UAE and in Dubai in particular. I mean, Dubai survives of the travel and tourism and aviation industries. How has this impacted your business? How were the last couple of months, and what is the future hold for the aviation and the private aviation industry in the months to come?
Thank you very much, and I totally agree with Tariq and Mohammed about their view for this pandemic, which is like it's came with no notice for everyone. We remember very well like what happened in September 11, and then the financial crisis and this pandemic. And for the travel industry, we had like the September 11 when like the people stopped flying for a certain time due to security reason. Then the financial crisis, we saw a drop of the business for like 1 or 2 years. But this pandemic, it came in different concept, which the airport is shut down. And when the airport shut down, there is no movement. For sure, like I'm talking about my industry, which is the private jet or travel industry. Usually like last year, we had every day 6,200 movement for the global, 6,200 movement a day. This is in 2019. Now let's talk about April. We had only 1,600 flights. This is the worst ever movement number reached in all the private aviation. And this is clearly because of this pandemic. The people will start to realize that traveling in the commercial airlines now will be, at least for the coming 2 years, it will be like kind of risky. And we saw the Emirates Airlines announced that they need 2 years to come back to the same level that they had like before. For sure, the people will keep flying, and we have to stay positive in all the aspects because the world cannot stop. And I agree with Tariq and Mohammed. The media, unfortunately, like played a negative role in managing this pandemic. And we believe like focusing on the business, how to grow the business, is like what we have to do. We cannot like give up and say, sorry, this is the end of the life and we cannot do anything. We just like, we have to wait. No. We have the power and the positive energy to move forward. And I can assure you like things will be changed, and I see it in a positive way. I'm talking about like the travel business. For sure, we will not see like an immediate impact when like everyone talk about July and August, like the business will go back, but it will be go slowly. And I am very positive like by September, the life and the business will go back, especially for the travel business. We start seeing like restriction lifted in European, and we see like the restriction UAE start be removing. The infrastructure that built in UAE and in Dubai, it's like it's enough to support the business and make it grow more and more. I have one of my customer to share it with everyone, like who is based his aircraft in one of the destination in Europe. He called me like a month ago and told me the minute that they will lift restriction UAE, I'll bring my jet and be based in Dubai, because the way that UAE government managed this pandemic and the crisis, like open our eyes, like how our health system in our country is weak. So the people start to realize, and I see this one will come in a positive way for the business, especially in UAE.
Right. Good comments. And at this stage, I would like to invite all our attendees to start putting out some questions out there. We would like to hear your opinion. If we get your questions, we'll put them out to our panelists. And actually, Adel, we have one question for you coming from Fares Al-Tahtamouni. He's saying, I would like to know your view on the private jet industry specifically. Do you think customers will start relying more on private flying? Does it offer less risk to flyers?
Definitely, yes. And I can tell you for the past 3 months, like 70% of our customers who are using the private jet is a new customer. We never seen them. All this customer came from first class and business class, who are usually flying in Emirates Airlines or Etihad Airlines, or other airlines out of UAE. So we start seeing shifting from flying from like commercial airlines to private jet business. You know, the beauty in the private jets, that you'll have like limited people to handle your luggage, your stuff, your team, your group, your family going to the airplane, and you'll have dedicated lounge. We don't use the same lounge for the same group. We have dedicated lounge, dedicated team, and then dedicated jet. It's not matter of like if you are flying in a private jet for 5 or 10 passengers. You know, when you go to fly via, let's talk about Terminal 3 in Emirates Airlines, which is like the business and first class terminal. You will see everyone. You see thousands of the people. For certain level, you will go and then you will meet with the people who's flying all the other airlines. So you will be exposed for meeting with thousands and thousands of the people. While flying in the private jet, it's give you like the privacy. You will have like private customs and immigration. You will have a private lounge, private stuff. All this will be limited. The people who will be exposed to you. I can assure you, like, depends on the projection, seeing 70% the new names who's flying private jet, I can tell you, like, the people realize how important to fly private jet. Again, September 11, the concern after September 11 was security. Now the concern is safety. And this is why the people realize flying private jet is important. In addition of that, now the drop of the oil price make the private jet hours is much cheaper and can affordable for a lot of people.
Interesting. Very good points, and it shows the adaptation. Tariq, there's a good question here for you, and we're talking about how we are adapting to things. It says, what's your idea about the education and training industry? Do you foresee anything related to this particular part of the industry? What kind of changes, what kind of adaptations you're seeing in other spheres like this, education, training, and many others that I'm sure you'll be able to comment on?
Yeah. As a futurist, one of the things that we look at is what stops change. And we call it an internal immunity system. Human beings have immunity systems, and industries have immunity systems. The education system, the healthcare system are the worst in the world. They're the ones who block everything. Oh, can't do it. So everything was can't do this, can't do that. And when this crisis hit, everything was possible. And that is one of the big learnings of this pandemic is new things can happen. Overnight, things change. Now, the education industry, the whole learning space has to fundamentally change and is changing, but has been very, very slow. And we need to move away from blocked training and learning in schools and so on to a lot of community-based learning and so on. There are many new initiatives there. All the e-learning and all of the Zoom-based learning things that are there are also helping. Do you know that 85% of all business schools and all of their content is available for free online today? 85%. So therefore, education and learning is available. We just need the tools and the mindset. And to me, I would like to end this on a mindset, and then I think Mohamed will also comment on the learning side. And the mindset is that Adel, with respect, used the word going back to normal 3 times in his conversation. There is no back, there is only forward. So there is, the whole business our mindset has to change. The words in our minds have to change. The past does not link to the future. The future links to the future, because one of the things we have learned is the exponential curve. Things are doubling on a very regular basis. So what we knew 1 year ago is not relevant 1 year from now. So what we need to do is really develop our mindset in a way to engage with the future with new scenarios, new platforms, new creativity. And education is one of the areas which is going to thrive as we come out of this into the future. But it needs an open mind, both from the regulators, from the teachers, the students. So we all need to literally reimagine our education system to be wisdom-based, learning-based, empathy-based, and connection. I have one last point. I have a 10-year-old reverse mentor. His name is Adam. He works and he mentors me. And he's part of this special school because he's very smart. He's ahead of his class. And when I go to that school, it's called O Academy. That's when I learn that this is the kind of education I would love to have for my children. It's wisdom-based learning. Mohamed, I know you want to say something about the e-learning side, but I hope it helped about the mindset and the...
Mohamed, your thoughts?
Yeah, basically, I normally put myself, in a situation that I'm being now, a father of 2 daughters. And I look at these kind of situations into 2 things. What is the advantage? What is the disadvantage? There is a big advantage, for me, for example, yes, there is no traffic anymore. I don't have to, wait for 10 or 15 minutes to exit from my place to my work, right? There is advantage for my wife that, like things are getting easier, that, you don't have to wake every day at this time and to prepare these things. These are all amazing things. But the disadvantages, in my opinion, is how people would adapt and how fast. Because I am, for example, I can see one of the groups of all parents in my daughter's school, where people are still complaining about when are we going back to normal. And this is going back to whether when Brother Adel said, going back, or to Tariq when we discussed about, there is no going back to normal. It's only the future, as you said. So I to adapt. We have to get.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have to get used to the new technology, and we are really thankful for these technologies. That this is one of the example again that we are having this not in an event or in a conference, or it is easy that we have adapted immediately. And I think this is one of the messages that we will have to deliver to many people. And I would like to hear from you, Tariq. Maybe these are the disadvantages. How do you think that we will have to send the right message to everyone that this is the new way forward?
Tariq, anything you can say on that?
I'm sorry, you're asking me or Adel?
Yeah, Tariq,
No,
yeah.
I'm asking you, Tariq, yeah.
Okay, yes, absolutely. I think it's sadly very much in our part of the world, and even internationally, it's a top-down approach. Our leaders here are visionary, and they give a lot of attention to education. And I think the signal has gone up that it is time for change. And I think and that readiness is going to enable us. So good communication is one. The right kind of people communicating, throw the rule book, the old rule book out, and the pedagogical learnings are going to be there. And the third thing is to have some stories of these kinds of situations where this education, new platforms and new ways of working are actually working. We don't hear enough stories. We don't hear enough stories of teachers telling us how they have improved, enough stories of young children say, oh, I love doing this in this kind of way. So I think it's much, much more to share each other's stories, and that will give us trust and confidence to bring about that kind of change. And I think it's beyond change, it's transformation, and I even go further than transformation. It is metamorphosis. Like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. It goes into the middle in its pupa and liquidizes itself and comes out as a beautiful butterfly. So it had to change itself today to become something new. The education system has to change itself today to become something new. It cannot grow from where it is in the middle. So I think a lot of initiatives on the side, and I think Lead Ventures would be the kind of organization who can look at their peripheral new initiatives on learning, and these will be the way of the future.
Excellent, excellent, Tariq. Thank you for that. We have a question. It's actually a question towards me. It says, hi, Lorenzo, question for you. Is Creative Zone seeing a trend of a certain sector incorporating businesses in the UAE at this time? Thank you, Natalie, for this question. Right now, we see a tremendous interest in tech companies, in e-commerce platforms. We've seen a lot of new tech companies in e-commerce platforms being launched in the last few weeks. We actually have a specific product for e-commerce and trading companies that we're happy to send you some information, Natalie, but we've seen a tremendous growth in this. Tech companies, delivery, in the delivery sector, last mile delivery companies, e-commerce has been huge. So that's my answer to that, Natalie. Adel, I wanted to go back to you, and it makes me think, you know, with these kind of adaptations that we're all having to make, I've been following the work that you've done over the last few years. I mean, you've been opening private jet terminals almost in every single part of the world. Does this change your business model in the way that private flying is done? Does your terminals align to this model? Do you need these big, luxurious spaces? Is there something changing in this regard?
For sure, no, and we keep developing our network in the world built on this concept, because even now, like depends on the flight movement in Dubai, we build a massive setup here because we expect the business volume going bigger and bigger. And to be honest with you, in this pandemic, we can see the benefit of having this big terminal, because now you can dedicate a separate lounge for each single family or group to be dedicated for them. And we are sanitizing every single lounge when the passenger in and out. So we keep developing our network in the world, building this kind of a big terminal in order to accommodate more people, because as Tariq and Mohammed said, like, okay, We want to build something for the future. We should not look to the past. But in the end, we know something very well in the hospitality business, that we have to wait to see the behavior of the customer and how they want to act depends on this one. Again, based on my experience and observation for the past 2-3 months during this pandemic, I see the people want to be like separate and alone, which is like totally different what they had before. But the question, like, when the people realize there is vaccine in the market, when the people realize like, okay, there is like no risk, is the people will come back to their normal life, or they will have like different behavior. I believe we need a time to figure out, to see how the consumer will act. Is the consumer will come back to the commercial airlines, or they who try the first private jet, he will stay in the private jet? I mean, this will take time to answer. And as like aviation and hospitality business, I expect we need like 1 year. I will not say to come back. I will say to see the real behavior of the passenger and the traveler, how they will act.
Excellent. Very good, Adel. Thank you for that. And you're right. I mean, the minute that I see on the news that there's talks about a vaccine, it makes me feel that us as humans, we will very quickly go back to normality in the sense of how we engage, how we like to get together. Even the world was struggling. I remember at the beginning, the US was recording the highest numbers of coronavirus, and people were still down at Miami Beach and hanging out. So let alone the minute that we have a vaccine out there, my God, I mean, I think people are going to go back to mingling and coming together. But I think what will leave us with this is how technology has helped us around this. And personally, for example, I've taken so much positive things out of this possibility of interacting with my own team. All our meetings are on Zoom nowadays. We don't need to spend that time in meetings and commuting from one place to another. So Tariq, you're raising your hand. I think you have a few comments on this.
No, I saw one of the questions there and says, to close the education discussion, that will it replace the old campus style? No, it won't. It's a hybrid. A new hybrid will develop. And part of the learning will happen in some ways, and the other one will be the community, the dance, the music, the art, the structure. Human connection won't change. That will always be there. But the kind of inefficiencies of the current learning system, our education system was created 200 years ago and for an industrial age. It now needs to a digital age with digital thinking, with network and distributed thinking, as opposed to all kids of the same age in the same class. It's finished, that's gone. Kids are developing at different ages and stuff, and in different, so you have to define in terms of competence rather than age. So these are new trends that will happen in learning and then develop from there. And a quick comment on Adel in terms of behavior change. There will be a lot of behavior changes over the next 1 or 2 years. Consistency, security, and safety and health will be there. And I bring back the trust element, and that is that we need to be able to trust each other, that you have actually taken the right precautions and so on, to start building a reconnection again. Because at the moment, people are a little bit like that. You walk into a lift and everybody just like jerks a little bit. I mean, come on, you just shouldn't, because we're humans. So behavior will change, safety, consistency will come back, but our mindsets need to be a new shift for the future, a new metamorphosis for the future.
Excellent. Mohamed, I mean, I think it's evident on what we're discussing that as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we have learned a lot through this. What would you say has the UAE learned as a country? What would you say Dubai has learned as a city? Dubai has always been seen as a visionary on how it positioned itself as this hub of travel and tourism. Lately, it's been putting a lot of emphasis on the digital economy, on developing digital entrepreneurs. What do you think is the change that Dubai is doing as a city?
See, the way I look at it, that we have witnessed a very amazing support from the government to see how they handle the pandemic situation, right? You know, like the reaction which indicated that the government is agile and responds fast to emergency situation. Everything that have done showed that Dubai and the UAE is a place that provides not only business security, it's only, there is something, you know, like I would like to add here, that something very important is, I used to say that Dubai or UAE is a land of opportunity, right? Today is, I would like to add also a few things, that it's not only a business security, it's a home security, it's a food security. I start receiving phone calls from international companies, friends from all around the world by saying, Mohammed, we have seen how you guys are handling this situation, and we would like to move our businesses and move our families. So this is the thing which I believe that will bring the trust. You know, like the government have done amazing job. The leaders were the first to come and cover in all social media that we are safe, we have the food, we have the medicines. So I believe this will bring the trust back immediately to certain companies to start their business and to start their lives here. So this is, in my opinion, the way forward.
Excellent, excellent. Tariq, I think I have a question that goes a bit down your lane of thoughts. It says, my children 10 and 11 have stopped having conversations at all. They're only staring at the screens all the time. It makes me worried. Now, you know, I was looking at the video by Gary Vaynerchuk, I think his last name is pronounced, and he's talking about how these screens and how kids are using it's the future. I mean, I feel that 15, 20 years from now, we're all going to be constantly exposed to screens. I think this screen consumption time, what we think is something to be worried about, 15 years from now is going to be tenfold. What's your thought on this type of statement?
Sorry, you have frozen. Yeah.
You heard my question?
No, the final bit, you were frozen.
I was saying that there's a question here that says, my children 10 and 11 have stopped having conversations at all. They're only staring at screens all day long. It makes me worried. And I was saying that I was reading from Gary Vaynerchuk, who was saying, I mean, this is the new norm. This is what people are going to be doing 15, 20 years from now. We're constantly going to be exposed to screens. What's your thought on this?
And not only screens, my friend, you'll be exposed to little glasses with the screen on the side. You'll be exposed to various other forms of learning. And this is part of some of the change. But what the parents are worried about is the human connection, because you don't only learn through information, you also learn through connection and humanity. You learn empathy, you learn wisdom, you learn compassion. And that is through human connection. So it should never be replaced. And I think the kids spending too much time on the screen need for the parents to take initiative and find them to do different things. Take them out, take them for a walk around the park, whatever it is you have to do. That human connection is really important. And I'd like to, at this point in time, and perhaps we can talk a lot about this with the questions. Now, what I want to look at, a lot of entrepreneurs, I believe, on this particular call. What are the industries that we are looking at as we go forward? The healthcare industry is exploding. Education industry is exploding. As 5G comes in, telecoms industry, e-commerce, the food industry will change completely with kitchen as a service and cloud kitchens and things like that. What I want to say is that there are so many new opportunities that are coming up right now. All we have to have is the right mindset to be able to say, how can we respond to these new opportunities, rather than always think, how can I fix what's wrong? Because you have to engage again as we go forward with new opportunities. New things will happen. The point-to-point cheap airlines, and maybe Adel can confirm this, and TUI in Belgium and others, they have converted their planes to cargo. So the point-to-point in planes have now suddenly changed their business model, and they've gone cargo. And they're making more money on that because the engagement level is much less. So businesses will change and adapt and whatever, but constantly all of these new businesses, and they are literally, I've listed about 10 of these new businesses. So the future is fine. It's our mindset that has to work.
Good point. Yeah. Mohammed?
Yeah, I just would like to add one more point here. Before I used to see that, that there is a great demand that coming to do businesses here, coming that they have great offerings when it comes to technology, products and services, where they will come and then they will go to the market and the market is competing, but still the market was good. I think talking about the opportunities, Tariq, and we created, this is how we adapted, by the way, we created a very nice formula, all right? Is to go and dig deep into certain industries to know what is the priority for the private or for the public sector. What is their priorities? What they need? What is the demand? And are they allocating budget? And how much is that? So, like the nice formula is to go to the market, take the demand, take their priority, know that there is a budget, and then go to a certain industries or to certain companies and tell them, whether local market or from the international market, and tell them that this is the demand. This is how we start creating opportunities. And guess what? It's a win-win situation for everyone. It's amazingly done. But is it easy? No. Is it hard? No. But we really have to dig deep, and you have to do, an extra job, I would say, where you have to reach the right decision makers to tell them what is the priority for you today, and the opportunity will be created. We all know if there is a problem, which is like today, there is a solution. If there is a solution, there is an opportunity, which it will be a win-win for everyone. So this is just, I wanted to put a spotlight on opportunities and how can we all as leaders think outside the box and not just, bring, like one of our businesses is a business development consultancy, right? So we want to reduce the risk for companies to just go to the market and maybe fail. So I think it is important that before we onboard certain companies that they have amazing technologies, is to know that there is a demand and then cater them to go and meet the decision makers.
Excellent, excellent, Mohamed. We still have 100 attendees out there. Thank you to the attendees. We're still receiving a lot of very good questions. We have 15 minutes left on the webinar. There is a question that kind of is that I could help in answering. It says, is anything being done to make entry to the UAE business market more affordable? A lot of people are out of work now and looking to ways to provide and support their families, but the small business setup costs are preventing a lot of people from doing this. I must say that the fees and the restrictions and the facilities for one to set up a business have really improved over the last 1 year or so. I have to say, fees have dropped tremendously. Dubai itself, through the Dubai Economic Development Department, the free zones have all reduced. The authorities have reduced costs. I think nowadays they're very attractive packages for one to get started as a company, whether it's just a license or a visa package. Restrictions of offices have also been minimized. You don't need to have this bigger office. There's co-working packages nowadays. So I think it has become a lot more attractive. Now, getting towards the end of this webinar, then Adel, I wanted to ask you, so then what's the way forward for Jetex? What are you going to be concentrating on in the months to come?
What we are concentrating now, like to make education for the traveler about the private jet, because before this pandemic, the people look to this industry, it's just like it's a luxury industry. And looking to this one, just like it's like, there's like accessory and necessary. Everyone looked to the private jet before as an accessory for the life travel. And it's only limited for certain people, for the people who's like billionaire or has like a special mission. But now the people, we are now educating the people that's okay, this is not only for like used for luxury. No, this is for safety as well. It's a new concept and new reason why you have to fly in this. I know it's expensive. I know if you will go to like, for example, like Four Seasons Hotel or any 5-star hotel, if you book 24 hours presidential suite, you'll pay $10,000 for night. But now, when you are flying private jet, you are paying per hour $5,000 to $10,000. It's expensive. But if you want to be in safe, for sure, like, I'm not saying the commercial license is not safe, but I'm saying like for the people who afford to pay this amount, they will realize that how it's important to pay this amount and spend this money in order to be in flying in a private jet. So I believe we are considered to educate the people flying private jet. We see a new concept in the private jet that about like a charter group, like family, company, friends. They are coming together. They want to fly back to their home. They create like group of 10 people, like share their seat of the airplane. It's a new concept we can see it in our industry. And I see it's going to be booming more and more.
Excellent. Where is your next private jet terminal going to be opened?
We prepared for a couple of announcements in September. We're going to announce another 3 terminals by this year, but we will keep this one for the September to make announcement. But we have a plan to add 3 terminals around the world for us.
Excellent. Well, we're going to keep on taking a close look at your activities, Adel, and thank you for joining this. Tariq, what would be what is it that you're focusing on? We've seen the work that you've done with MAD. Now you launched Xponential Talks. What's in the pipeline for you?
What's in the pipeline is that we are a future foresight and transformation platform. And what we are doing is helping people to really engage with the future. And from doing simple sprints to workshops to webinars to any kind of engagement, all related to the future. The important part of building the future is that we have to fix our mindset before we give you the tool set. So that is a lot of work we do on that. As far as the tool sets are concerned, we call ourselves the how company. We are not a McKinsey or an Ernst & Young and come and tell you, here's a big report. But we actually go and actually help to execute, which is really important. And help to execute by building the teams rather than telling them what to do. And in this process, with this, we build this scenario analysis, a 3 to 6 month, a 6 to 12 month, and beyond 12 months. And this really helps to think for people to start working on the future. And one of the things we are telling, working with people, with some of the greatest companies in the world, 20% of your best teams need to be allocated exclusively to only look at the future. They only sit and think about the future. And we help them. So it's about building that kind of internal resilience. Nassim Taleb wrote a very good book called Anti-Fragility. That some companies are weak and they will die. So goodbye to them, sadly. Some companies are strong and they will find a way to adapt. But the kinds of companies that we need to build are anti-fragile companies. When there is a pandemic, when there is a crisis, they thrive. E-commerce companies are thriving, private jet companies are thriving, education companies, many companies are thriving. So this is what we're trying to do, is to build these platforms, engage the people, get them, and these are just platforms for us to communicate. But our core hard work is helping companies to transform for little caterpillars to become butterflies and go into the future. It's not the next app or the next adaptation or something like that. That's not enough. That really will not change this environment. What will change this environment is fundamental shift of new thinking and asking different sets of questions. We are so trained for solutions that immediately we have a problem, we have to fix it. No, step back, say, okay, how do I want to live in the future? How do I want to reimagine my kids' future? How do I want to reimagine my business? Ask different questions. The art of questioning and the curiosity that we used to have as children is going down. So my recommendation and the work that we do over the next 12 to 18 months is going to be to help companies with the oxygen mask, then build muscles, and then to fly. And that's really what we are all about.
Excellent, Tariq. Thank you for that. We have a really nice comment from one of the attendees saying, to all, this is by far the best webinar I have attended on COVID-19 crisis. Thank you to all. Mohamed, where is Lead Ventures headed in the next 2-3 months? Where are you going to be putting all of your energy?
Very nice question, because this is where my passion is, right? So we have launched a new company. It's only a pure consultancy. I would like to meet whoever has any challenge when it comes to business owners and put everything on the table and give them the nice advice of what can be done in order for them to survive. There are 2 things that I'm putting. So there is something which we are focusing on, as of course, now we have created a very nice, strong platform where we have amazing board of advisories from different sectors. And the reason why we keep bringing these senior advisors into our platform, and I would like to invite everyone to see our website, is because I go with the saying of Steve Jobs. We hire smart people for them to tell us what to do and not the other way around. So we might be, the strongest. We have the network, we have the great team, we have the right process and policies and everything. But still, if someone comes and say, Mohamed, oh my God, I heard a very nice talk, today, and I have this challenge 1 and 2 and 3. I will help him, or I will give him the nice advice when it comes to the business. But if he start talking about his passion into health and with something, like any technicality, I'm not a doctor here, or I'm not an engineer, or I'm not a teacher. So I will make sure that I bring our senior advisors from certain certain sectors, and they will be the advisors to tell him, all right, what you have to do is you have to change your way of thinking of doing this or doing that. So this is where the energy is. We want to support these companies to the maximum in order to remove this thought of firing people, or the second thing, I want to shut down. We don't want people to shut down. There is an amazing opportunities here, but they have to have faith. They have to believe to believe in what they're doing, and they have to wait. So this is one point, and there is another point, very important thing, that this is one of the initiatives, and I would like to also, ask all leaders and all of you to think about. Today, I receive 10 to 15 resumes every day, and I'm sure 100% that you do the same. And I'm assuming that other business owners that they're receiving, right? Unfortunately, there are lots of talented, skilled people out there where they got redundant, they are not working, they're just waiting for that hope for someone to tell them, all right, come for an interview. So here there is 2 options for those people. Option A is to keep waiting and waiting and waiting, or option 2 is to travel and go back. So we are trying to think, and I was thinking of all the amazing resumes that I'm receiving every day. How can we create something for those people? Today, I'm not able. I'm talking about myself. We are keeping everything on hold when it comes to recruiting, all right? In certain departments. However, if today I think outside the box and I say, you know what? I have 10, 15 amazing, talented people that they can serve this department. And I have an amazing project. Why don't I have a KPI, talk about this project, bring those people and tell them, guys, what do you think? Work on this. If we make it a successful, it's good for me as a business owner, and it's good for you. This is how you are creating your path. And guess what? If someone calls you and you find a job, then please, good luck, you can go. But one of the initiatives that we have to give hope to certain people is to create something for them. So today I have many projects that we can focus on, and we can bring these people to do together. I'm sure 100% if you put things on the table and you bring those people and tell them, listen, we sign a nice contract between you and I, we give you this task. If you make it happen, then this is a win-win. Please welcome on board. And this is one of the initiatives that I really want to put the light on, in order for us to think about the people that are suffering for now, where they are talented and we can use their skills.
That's an excellent initiative, Mohamed, and I relate to this. I like this idea of identifying a project, giving ownership to someone and saying, look, if you make this work, there's a win-win. As you said, in the meantime, if you find another job, go ahead, but I really like that. We're reaching the end. It's 11:55. I want to dedicate another 2-3 minutes to quickly give a final message to the people out there. We have still 100 people connected. Many of them are Creative Zone clients, they're business owners, they're startups. Adel, what would be your final message to people looking at this webinar? What would be your sort of, in a nutshell, last few words?
We'll come back much better. And I'm very optimistic and positive that the market will be much better and go back in different way. And I'm telling you from my experience, if you want to build international brand, Dubai and UAE is the best place to do it. So the people who's like now they lost their job, this is the best place to you start again. Don't think to like this is like finished. No, this is the place, the infrastructure, the reputation, the system that here, it's something unique, and this is give like the right opportunity for anyone to grow or create their own brand. And this is what we did here in 2005 when I started my business. Without Dubai, we will not reach what we reach today.
Excellent. Thank you, Adel. Tariq, your final message?
My final message is we have to reimagine our future. And I think this is the best time. We should never let a good crisis go without reimagining ourselves into the future. I think that's point number one. We need to be much, much more efficient in terms of asking different questions, as opposed to just finding day-to-day immediate solutions. Whenever there is an exponential crisis, we need an exponential response. And that exponential response is not doing itsy-bitsy small things up and down. So it has to be very, very structurally different and emotionally different. But in an exponential crisis, you need exponential compassion, empathy, understanding, and all of the values that we have. This is a time to go back to our core values, to our family, to our loved ones, because this is what truly matters. And at this point in time, this is time to get close. This is the time to connect and use this opportunity to build new things. And I think this is the kind of messaging that is missing. We are passing judgments on people if they don't have a job. This is not a time for judgment. This is the time for empathy and connection. And that's what I would say, all of the people that are on this call and out there, is find ways, and it's amazing that Mohamed is working on this initiative. I feel that perhaps through him, as an Emirati, he can go out there and create the platforms of a gig economy. They don't have to have jobs. They can still be working away and create something. And this in the country is open enough to be able to absorb and adjust its rules and stuff like that, to be able to absorb these gig workers. Nomadic workers, the white-collared workers who are going out there, they need a new system. And that new system needs to start developing. And we as community leaders and community players, we need to sort of help the government and help our communities to find new ways to do these things. Yeah. So the responsibility is on us to bring about that change. And I hope people like Mohamed will take these messages back to the people that make the policy decisions to enable us to live in a happy, beautiful place that this region actually is. Thank you for all of that.
Excellent, excellent. Mohamed, your final message to the viewers?
I think if I want to put the spotlight into the local market and the international market, the local market, I encourage all business owners is to write all their challenges and to see what's going to happen 3 months to 6 months, and to keep focusing that this is something that it will pass. I mean, I want people to think that I don't want to sell everything. I don't want to shut down. I don't want to. No, no, no. 3 months, believe me, if you make it, then that's it. Maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 month. But be positive. Write your challenges and pick the right advisor or leader or consultant in order to go and put everything on the table. Think outside the box, because to share resources, you will make it happen. So this is for the local market. For the international market, I want them to trust me and believe me that this is the right time. I mean, with Lorenzo, what you are doing to make people's lives easy to open a license, maybe their dream within a few days or maybe a few weeks. This is something, you know, like we did not witness for the last few years, but now everything is easy. So my recommendation to choose someone, of course, as a great leader as Lorenzo with his team, to go and apply for a license. It is easy. And also for you to move your family here, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, this is the right time. And we will have to get used to get benefit out of the government support of giving us an amazing support when it comes to fees. And maybe Lorenzo, you will agree with me, and you start seeing the fees got reduced whether from DIWA or the licenses or many other things. So now if someone was planning to do their business and open their business today, and they think that, oh, let me wait and see what's gonna happen. No, I'm telling them, do it right now, because maybe in 2 months or 3 months, when the new norm come back, which is not coming back, but the new norm, maybe all these facilities will go back to normality. So you lost the advantage of this discount of what we are having now. So I want them to just take a decision and knock your door, Lorenzo, to help them make their dreams. And with our side, we are more than happy to give them the right direction. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Mohamed, for that. Well, thank you so much to all the attendees, to the panelists, Mohamed, Tariq, Mr. Adel. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here and sharing all this wealth of information and knowledge. I think we received very good feedback. We invite all the attendees to engage in this conversation. We're going to be uploading the full video of this webinar on social media. Everybody's going to be sharing it. Please engage with it. Through LinkedIn nowadays, you have access to these incredible people. I'm sure they will engage with you if you have questions, ideas, business solutions that you would like to propose. If you need any support from our side at Creative Zone in setting up your business, in guidance, and anything that relates to you getting started, we're more than happy to help. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks to the panelists. Thanks to the attendees. And we'll see you again in about a week in another webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Shukran.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Bye-bye.